My name is Andy Rumik. When I was growing up, and still to this day, my family refers to me as Sonny, but my given name is Andy. I was born in Miami, Arizona, October 23rd, 1933. My, my ancestors came from Croatia, which was Yugoslavia at that time. And how they got to Miami, I'll never know. But there was work. And they arrived here approximately 1910. My father came a little bit later, but my grandparents got here in 10. And I don't know for sure when my father got here, but he got here sometimes in the teens to work in the mines. That's the only work my father ever knew. He was a miner his whole life. Yes, when he came over, he left home at 14 because there was no food, no nothing. So he came to this country, but I don't know. He had an older brother in Canada. So I don't know if, and I can't find out now, whether he came through Ellis Island or he landed in Canada. But he left Canada and he worked in mines in Minnesota. He worked in the mines in Nevada, the real hot mine. He worked in a mine up there, and then he worked in Leadville. And it was too cold. It was too hot in one mine, too cold in the other. He came to Arizona.
Where's Leadville?
Leadville is in Colorado, about 10,000 feet, and it was very, very cold. My grandparents came here in 10, and since my father was born in probably 100 feet from where my grandmother was born, so he knew that she was in Arizona. So some way, don't ask me how they got in touch with one another, because none of them could read or write, but they managed to hook up here, and he stayed here the rest of his life. I was always playing. I always had a good time. In my family, we never had much. They were all working people. My dad worked 6 days a week underground. So we didn't have, I was never hungry, but I didn't have anything. I never had a nickel to go to the show. So I was always in the streets. And in the house, we never spoke English. On the streets, we never spoke English. In the house, it was Croatian. On the streets, they were all, I guess the proper word now is Hispanics, but I'm sure Al is proud to be a Mexican. And that's what I was raised with. And that's who I played with all the time. My neighborhood, it was a canyon, right one canyon over from Fitos. In the early 10s and 20s, it was 100% Slavic people, 100%. And as they died or moved, then the Mexicans moved in. And when I was being brought up, it was almost 50-50, not quite. Oh, that's all I grew up with. I was the only so-called Gavacho on the street. Everyone else was a Mexican besides me. Oh, they were all fond memories. They were my best friends. We played, sports was our life. And we played every sport every year. No, my memories are really fond. They're my best friends. Sports is all we had to live for. In my house, we never had a car. In my life, if we wanted to go someplace, we had to walk. Never a car. So it was always sports. That's all I ever cared about. I went to school to play sports. I think it's the same thing. We all had nothing. I'm serious. We were all poor people. And all I had to look forward to was playing. We didn't go to movies. We had no radio. We had no television. We didn't have any of that. I never had a radio in my house because they couldn't understand English. Yeah, our family couldn't understand English, so there was never a radio in my house, ever. And the only people that really, since my relatives, my ancestors, they couldn't speak English very well, very broken. Some of them couldn't speak at all, so they were a close-knit group. They only associated with other Croatians. They didn't associate with the Serbs, only the Croatians. So they didn't have to speak English. So they never did. No, my dad, he rarely spoke. I wish that I'd give anything if I could talk to him today about how he got here and all that. But no, he only told me that, you know, they preached to me all the time, go to school, go to school. You're not going to go to work in the mines. So all my uncles and aunts, they all got educations somehow, but none of them worked in the mine. We had no money. So out on the streets, we played every single sport there was. And the street was very narrow. It was a canyon. You know, like we played football there. We had a sand lot to play basketball. It was all dirt. And that's where we played basketball. To play softball, we'd have to go up on the hill. And there was an old school there with a flat ground. And if we hit a foul ball, it took us the rest of the day to find it because it'd run down the hill to the next canyon. So that was my life with sports. Well, it was great because I got to play with my friends. When we used to go to school, I'd go this way, they'd go that way. They'd go to Bullion Plaza, I'd go to Inspiration. I never got to play with them until I got to high school. And then, you know, but I played with them all summer. They were my only people that I played with.
In the summertime?
In the summertime.
Yeah, so you got to play with them for the first time together on team?
Yes, when I went to the 9th grade.
Okay. And what sports did you pursue?
I pursued them all. Football was what I really loved, but I played football and basketball primarily. I played baseball for a couple of years, but I didn't care for it. And so my last 2 years, I just played football and basketball. We were segregated. And we were sort of segregated too. Like the Slavs in the mine, they only had the laborers work. They weren't in the upper echelon. They were all laborers, all of them. My dad set timbers till the day he died, till he was 65. He spent 35 years in the mine. When he retired, his retirement was $67 a month from the mine.
Yeah.
So there was no money. They were the working class. They didn't, all of them. He didn't complain. It was a job. No, my dad never complained about, he complained about shift work because he couldn't sleep graveyard because we slept out on the porch and the street was right there and the dogs were barking. Everyone had a dog in those days, but they were never home and never on a leash. So they were barking and he couldn't sleep and it drove him crazy. That's the only thing he complained about the mine. Well, he had to work from, his shift was from 12 to 8 in the morning. So at 8 in the morning he went to bed, but that's when everyone was out on the street and he couldn't sleep because our beds were outside and it was just life. We just took life as it was. It didn't strike me, I felt the same about them, whether they went to Bullion or whatever. They were still my friends. And I walked to school with them every day. We'd tease each other, They'd tell me, how'd they say it? Inspiration. Bullion Plaza, ring the bell. Inspiration, go to hell. And that's what they'd tell me on my way to school. And we'd laugh.
Like the Mexican kids?
The Mexican kids would tell me that.
That was a little slogan.
That's just a little slogan we had.
Yeah.
We didn't care. We just had our own family, but we didn't know why. In retrospect, I know why it all happened. Because they couldn't speak English, and so they just stuck with people that could speak their language. And that's the way it was. In our house, I doubt that there's anyone in there other than Slavs. I just wanted to play. It was the next sport, and I wanted to play every sport that there was. Oh, I can't remember started when we were kids, grade school, playing out there, and we just had a dirt. vacant lot, a house burned down. We had a lot with, sometimes it had a net, mostly it didn't. And that's where we played. We had a rim. Wood, I mean, it was, God, you'd laugh if you saw what we had. Oh, no, 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 not at all.
Yeah.
It was on a 2x4, whatever we could get up, or our, whoever.
Started high school.
I started high school in 1948. In fact, I don't know who the basketball coach was. It was Cavisto. It was, yeah. 4 years, yeah. He was there all 4 years I was there. Well, since I was the 10th man in. I was the worst basketball player on the team, but I could play defense. And so at practice, he made us work our tails off defensively to help them. And so our team was better because of guys like Al and the other guys that we really had to work hard. We really did. There was no sloughing. We had no water. We had nothing. We just worked. I don't ever recall drinking water. In those days, even when I was in college, we were not allowed to drink water during practice. If we had 2 hours of football practice, we never had water. Never had a drink of water all the time I played football. No, I don't know what it was. We did not have water. When there was a timeout, no water. Well, I remember him being the disciplinarian that Vito said he was, but also he had some very colorful language at our half times. People used to come and want to listen to what he had to say because we all had different mothers, I'll tell you. He really had colorful language. Oh, yes, that didn't bother us. I mean, we used the same language on the streets all the time. So it wasn't new to our ears. He treated me very, very fairly, very fairly. I have nothing but best regards for him as a coach. Because I remember one night we'd get home late and he sometimes, I'd have to walk a ways. He took us home one night. We probably got there at home, and I don't know who was in the car with us. Probably got to my house about 1 o'clock, and I think for 2 hours we sat in that car in front of my house, and he told us stories about Notre Dame and Marquette and his lifestyle. And it was very interesting. I mean,
it kept you interested.
Oh boy, did it. Yes. Well, no, but I found out later in life because I saw a picture of his team, his high school team. And on that team, there were a lot of Vitches, Hemoviches or whatever. So he grew up with the same environment that I did, probably a mining community. But I think he could have been in northern Michigan or Minnesota. I don't know.
Yeah, it was northern Michigan. I think
Yeah.
Ironwood.
Yeah, and he came from a mining community. Most likely so. Yeah. Probably because he had the same background. It's the only thing I can think. Very similar. And we all came from nothing. So did he. And he wanted us to be something. And he made us the men that we are. We really had to work hard. Very hard. And to this day, I still work hard. Well, you said it right there. He inspired us to be the best that we could be. And he made us practice that way every day. Because I didn't play that much. Like I said, I was probably the 10th man, and I didn't care if I ever played. I enjoyed being with the team. We were one. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
How so?
How? Because we knew when we got the rebound where the outlet pass was going to go and how we were going to get there. He knew when we jumped ball who was going to get it and how we were going to proceed from there. We worked on that. Like I said, I was the 10th man. I think, in my opinion, I was the 10th. And I was treated like everyone else. And I didn't care if I played or not. I just enjoyed being on the team and associating with them. That was very important to me. I got to see him a lot, more than anyone. I was right there. Yeah, I did. I really did. Well, I think we worked harder than anyone, to be very honest with you. I don't think there is another team in the state that worked as hard as we did. I really feel that way. And it was all the time. Once we hit that floor, we were working. Well, I know that we had that in mind. And as the season progressed, I thought that we could. And like I said, when we got to Harvard, I didn't know because they were a very good team. And by the way, the center of that team and I became very good friends in college. He went to the university and so did I, and we'd visit a lot and talk. Haiti Red. And he went to San Francisco, I think, and became a policeman. Very good person.
After college?
After college. Very good.
He played at the U of A?
Yes, he did. He started. He and Lazarevich were teammates. Yeah, absolutely. I thought we were ready. We worked that way. No one was going to outwork us. And I think to this day, we never called a timeout the whole year. Look that up.
Wow.
That was one of his accomplishments that he was proud of. We never called a timeout. He did at the end. No, I don't think he did it until the end of the year. I don't know if that was a goal of his or not, but look that up. We never called a timeout the whole year because we were going to run him to death. I think his strength was motivation, determination, and preparation. He prepared us well. Well, on our team, there was only one player out of 10 that didn't come from immigrant families. Lee Larson is the only one whose family spoke English at home. No one else spoke English at home. 9 of us, and only one spoke English. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm just out of curiosity, in terms of the other.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There
were, but when there's more on the team, so there would have been more Anglos, so to speak.
Okay.
Well, we were predominant. There were a lot of us. At one time, there were a lot of Slavs in this town. And then they either died or moved. And like I said, Canyon where I was raised, it was 100% Slav. Well, not that large, but some.
Right.
And up my canyon now, not one Slav exists.
Oh, no kidding.
Not one. I don't know. I took a drive out. I took a sentimental journey as I normally do. And I like to go up the street and look at the houses. And I can still see their faces at each house. And I say hello to them to this day. It was very enjoyable. It was a very enjoyable season. Very enjoyable. I enjoyed going to school. I never ditched. I enjoyed going to school. That's where my friends were. Now, I'm not the best student that ever came out of my high school, believe me. But I'll tell you, as far as missing school, I was one of the best. I didn't miss school. I enjoyed going to school. Well, I lived on the streets. I grew up in the streets because in the house there was nothing. So, I just grew up on the streets. I was downtown all the time, next to Labato shoe shine stand, playing tops next door, marbles. There was a vacant lot. We were always playing. So, but at that time, yes, I was aware of it. The community was behind us 100%.
There weren't throngs of people.
No. They weren't buying me ice cream or anything like that. No. Well, I think there was a lot of excitement because they supported us 100%. That's all they had. In those days, they didn't have TV or anything. We were it. That's all they had. So they were proud of it. It was a booming town. Boy, the bars were very active. And we have some other establishments that were very active. And it was just a lively town. Very lively. The streets, every store was vibrant. Now there's not one store on that street, not one. Every one of them's demolished. Every single one of them.
What kind of stores were there?
Well, I can name you every single store. We had Lazarevich's. Next to Lazarevich's, we had used jewelry. Next to that, we had JCPenney. Not JCPenney, Woolsworth. Next to that, we had the movie theater. Next to that, we had a Ryan Evans drugstore, and then Upton's. and then the Lyric Theater, and then the Economy Grocery Store, and then a boot store, and then the Vandal Inn.
Yeah.
That's every I can see them today, this day.
And they were all busy.
They were all busy. You know, I'm thinking when we were in school, we had 89 in our graduating class. And I'm thinking we had 3,500 to 4,000 when we were in school.
And these days?
And they were,
And these days?
1,500. 1,300, I think. We called the other day to get the population of Miami, and I think it was around 1,300. Oh, no, never. I went to watch them. Yes, I did, but never participated. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Other than anxiety, wanting to get it over. Like I told you, the work we put in. The harder you work at something, the luckier you get. And we worked hard. Yeah, I don't remember them. Vito remembers them much better than I do. I don't remember them. Yeah, but you don't focus on them. You focus at what you have at hand, and that's to prepare.
Yeah.
So you don't gawk at them. We're down there warming up. Well, it wasn't, I don't think, a lasting impression. We knew that they were tall and that they were good, but we weren't intimidated. Our preparation wouldn't have changed. We were going to play our ball game no matter what. We were going to run whenever we could, and I don't think it changed. We're going to play the same game, same basketball we played all year. You can't change at that time.
And that's a testament to the coach.
Yes. Yes, you can't change your mode of operations. You're going to do what you do best, and that's what we did. I don't know. I liked them all. I mean, I got along very well with every single one of them. Hector Jacot, you don't hear anything about him. Great guy, tough guy, just, and Pelon, we called him Pelon, Rudy Moreno. You know, just an absolute fabulous person to the day he died. And I can say that about every single one of them. No, they had fun. We had fun together. We laughed and had fun together. We enjoyed each other's company. And we all accepted each other for what we were. I think only 6, maybe 7 guys played. And probably one of the guys that contributed most in that last game was our 6th man, which would be Elias Huerta now. I think he contributed as much as the starters. He was as good as any starter. At the end, when it was over, it was that close.
And was the crowd with you?
Oh, absolutely. I think we had more people there than they did. We had a larger school. Carver was a small school. It was an all-black school. And I'm sure their population wasn't that big. I don't remember. Most of the people there would have been from Miami. We call it Miami. Nowadays, they call it Miami. But if you talk to anyone that my age, it's still Miami, Arizona.
Why is it pronounced Miami?
Well, the guy that settled the town, he wanted to call it Miami. But when they spelled it, they put an E on it instead of an A. So it became Miami. But we still called it Miami, even though it's Miami. Well, I guess when they spelled it, when the town became a town, they put an I on the end instead of an A.
Oh, I gotcha.
But he called it Miami anyway. And so did we until the last, I don't know, 20 years out?
The last 20 years now.
Well, I don't know. I know I went to a football game here a few years ago, and they're singing On Miami, and I said, when did they change the name? There's no Miami in Miami.
So when you were a kid, it was definitely always called Miami.
Oh, to this day, people that know me, they know I'm not from Miami. I'm from Miami, and I'm proud of it. Anticipation, get the game going. You know, I remember it all very well. But like I said, I had the best seat in the house because I knew I wasn't going to play.
You knew you weren't going to play.
Oh, I was almost sure. And I didn't care. I really did not care. That wasn't important to me. The important thing is to win. And I think that's why we had a good team. We had guys like myself that didn't care if we played. We just wanted to be part of it and help them win. So my job was every day at practice be the best defensive player I could be. Like he said, we had three, Vito, Lupi, and Teddy. Teddy is Eli. We called him Teddy. We all had different names except Al. We still call him Al. He was always Al. No, I just know his full. And I went to school there, and I took tickets there. I'm trying to think because it's not McHale, it's the old Bear Down, and there's a balcony on both sides, and not too many seats. I can't tell you. I know I took tickets there while I was in college. No, it's college, University of Arizona, before McHale. It was the only stadium there. And prior to, I don't know how many years prior to that, but every basketball tournament prior was held there, and they only had one tournament for all schools. We didn't have classes, and I'm trying to think when the last year they did that. Every school in Arizona, Phoenix Union might have 5,000, Duncan might have had 20. Duncan won the state championship in 38 and 39. And they probably didn't have 50 kids in school. Miami, no. Now, you could have a few years prior to us going to the tournament. We were, yeah. No, they had a big school when we were there, and then we were the second schools.
Oh, you were like the second?
Yeah, they had an A and a B. We would have been in the B. That's what Vito said. I can't recall all that. I can't recall all that. Yeah, I can't recall any of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't important to me.
Yeah.
Discipline, perseverance, and enjoyment. Enjoy your teammates and work hard, play hard.